What's up everyone? My name is Carmelo and this is Fingers of Fury. So today we're going to be going over the ZODD. This is going to be my offering for the ergonomic training craze going on. And this is just going to be an overview. I shot a video that was way too long, so maybe in the future I'll do something a little bit more involved, but today it's just going to be a quick overview and a little bit about how I use this board. So starting off, unless you don't know, most of this is influenced by Tyler Nelson. And when I say most of it, I mean all of the ergonomic trainers or whatever you want to call it, on level edge or anything like that. So most of the theory behind it, I'm just going to let you explore that on your own. So again, Tyler Nelson, C4HP on Instagram. You can check him out on podcasts. This entire market demand for this was basically created by Tyler. So props goes to him for figuring all this out or kind of popularizing it, and it'll be on you guys for now until I do another video on kind of some of my thoughts on it. So to start, if this is the first time or seeing any of my products, these aren't made out of aluminum. I machine these here by myself, and so reasons for wanting aluminum is what I'm going to go over now. So it's a textured aluminum. It's a two-stage bead blast, and it's rough enough that if you're in an apartment or something, you don't have to use chalk. You can use just the board and not have to clean up after it. I do recycle all of my aluminum, which is an advantage, and then I'm able to integrate this eyelet into it, which is probably not immediately apparent, but it's one of the main advantages of all my products. So for one, it makes it really compact because you don't have to have a cordage running across, which also makes it much more consistent, both that it's centered on the device and the carabiner doesn't have the chance to sway or slide on the cordage, and then the location is fixed. Cordage tries to do this by draping it over the front of the board. I don't have to do that. I have a fixed location right here, and then you'll see a lot of people when they train, they stand on yoga blocks, stacks of weights, whatever, in order to pick something off of the ground, because that cordage or the device itself might be like 6 inches long to begin with. So all of my products, the distance from the carabiner where you're clipping in to your fingers is going to be the shortest of anything else on the market. So I'll also mention that aluminum is washable, so usually soap in the sink is enough for me to wash most of the stuff that gets on here. I use this in the machine shop and I just clean off the grease when I'm done, and then you're back to the normal surface. Obviously you can't do that with wood. You might be able to do it a little bit with 3D printed boards, but they're going to have a lot more ridges in there, which brings me to another point. Anything that's machined, so wood would also have this, but you're not going to have any steps like you would see on a 3D printed board, for example, that you might not feel initially, but when you're lifting 100, some people lift over 200 pounds, you're going to start feeling those ridges and your skin's going to catch on it. So you're never going to see something like that happen on an aluminum board. Aluminum is much stronger. That's another reason why I can make these so small. I don't need as much material to make a super strong board. So anything that I make is rated for much larger amounts of weight than anybody who's at least human can lift. So you don't have to worry about it breaking, and it's just going to last a very long time, if not forever. Okay, so I'll go over a little bit about the design kind of mixed in with how I use it. So again, I don't want this to get too involved. I did another video where I talked about a little bit too much about the design, and the video was way too long, way too boring. But so to point out the obvious, I've got a symmetrical slot here. You'll see other designs, whether it's an asymmetrical slot or steps. I tested those devices. I 3D printed my own prototypes. I actually thought that was going to be the way. I didn't like it. It wasn't as comfortable for me, and I ended up using the symmetrical slot, and it also gave me more grip options. So it's obvious that if you put your hand in here, centered, you have that normal ergonomic grip type where your pinky and your index are able to be in half crimp position much better, much easier than obviously a flat edge. So that opens up that availability to you. I will point out at this time that this is going to come with 2 5mm inserts, and that's also going to allow you to adjust the depth that's going to be the most comfortable for you, meaning where that first joint of your finger meets the radius of that is probably going to be the most comfortable for you. And then you still have, if it ends up being less than 30 like it does for me, you still have access to the 30mm edge depth for those maximum weight pulls that you might do right before you start your session. And I guess also if you want to buy additional inserts and make this a much smaller edge, you can do that as well with this. So what you also gain by using this is the ability to offset your hand in here, and what that does is if you're looking to train either the back or the front of the hand, biasing the weight towards there, you can offset it. So for me, my back two fingers, meaning the pinky and the ring, are a bit weaker than the front two. And I can, if I center my ring finger underneath this eyelet, I'm able to get a better training effect on those back two fingers. And by training effect, I just mean biasing the weight to those fingers rather than the front two. And that works out great and something you wouldn't be able to get from the step design. So you also get 2 monos in here. And so if you want to try and see, for example, if your individual fingers, specifically the index and the pinky, are getting stronger, you can do that by first testing before you start any of your training. So if you're going to do a month or 2 of training using this edge and you want to see how capable it is at making those 2 other fingers stronger versus a flat edge, you can start by first, you're going to make sure you're going to want your fingers to be in the same position as they would be using the edge with your hand centered. But then, do a test to see how much load you're able to do on the mono at that same edge depth. And this is perfect because everything is the same. You can use the same edge depth, and obviously you have the same radius, and the orientation of the board is going to be basically the same. So that's a cool way that you can use this board that other boards don't offer. And then on the back here, I've got these, what I call serrations, right? And what this does is these serrations are something that when you're holding onto the hold, you can adduct on them or bring your fingers inwards and squeeze onto these serrations. And that works great because when you're clipped in and you start using this side of the board, it's going to slope away from you. So when you adduct on these, it's going to teach you to adduct your fingers, whereas using something more spherical isn't going to have the feedback that this does to train finger adduction. And that's something new you can explore. There are some people talking about training finger adduction now. I won't mention their names because I don't have them off the top of my head, but this is new to the finger training world for climbers. So just something that you have available as a bonus on this board. Something else I want to mention, I almost forgot, and I was reviewing the video and wanted to add this in. So a couple other options as far as grip types. So I kind of hate the word natural because it's somewhat ambiguous, but I find that this position where my fingers are kind of relaxed, I'm not trying to bring them in, is an option that I actually like to experiment with. So I leave my fingers slightly open on all of them, and this is a really comfortable grip. And I feel like I can lift a bit more when I'm lifting like this. So that's, again, something that you wouldn't be able to do if you were using a stepped design. And then somebody might point out, I'm not sure if they would, but again, so this is a fixed arc on both sides. So say you had a particularly short pinky finger, right? And this is kind of to the same effect as what I just pointed out, but if you were to have most of your fingers close together and then brought the pinky down, you'd still be able to get that pinky in the half crimp position. So it's a pretty much universal design, and I wanted to point that out for anybody like skeptic of a fixed and a symmetrical arc on this. So again, those are 2 more options, kind of a variation of the same option, but that's something you can use this for. And I'm sure I'm missing something. Climbers are really resourceful and will probably find different ways to train with this as well. All right, so that basically concludes the ZODD, the ergonomic training offering by Fingers of Fury, which is me. So as you can see, it's a small board, fits in your hand, so it's really compact, fits a lot of features into a small package. So again, it starts off as a 30 millimeter edge depth, roughly a 6 millimeter radius for the edge, and then it's going to come with 2 5 millimeter inserts. And that's it. If you have any questions that you want to ask me, I know this is just a quick overview. I didn't go over a whole lot, so if you want to reach out to me on any of the social media platforms or email on my website, feel free, and thank you. So I'm going to do a quick addendum on this one. I feel like I flew through that overview. I did one video that was way too long, and I feel like that one was way too short. I tend to just kind of zone in and really just stare like a zombie at the camera when I'm doing these overview videos or I'm trying to talk about features. And I really wanted to talk about this one a little bit more than I just did. So I'm going to do that now. So if you want to stop the video now, I'm not going to go over anything really specific, so feel free. So I just want to mention, I made this because a lot of you reached out to me and asked me to do something like this in aluminum. And at first I was really skeptical. I didn't know what to think about the ergonomic training device offerings that were out there at the time, and I just wasn't sure that it was something that I would like. I really envisioned it ending up as something much more complicated, and I really wasn't interested in doing that. And it really wasn't until I stumbled upon, as silly as it sounds, the simple symmetrical arc, which is like the simplest design as it could possibly be. But as soon as I started training with this style arc and doing the shifting of the hand in the slot, it really opened it up to being something that I really enjoyed training with. And I also feel like I got the same training effect as I would have if I did the steps or something like that. And again, this is something I really feel like I'm going to use in the future and keep using. But not only that, I really love the way it turned out. It's kind of got horns on the front and the back that look really cool. Again, I love the serrations. This is like my favorite design look-wise. And for any of you that kind of notice the details, I made sure that the 30 engraving fits where the opening for the inserts fit. I feel like the inserts look really cool. It kind of looks like the bike from Tron, the motorcycle or whatever you call it in Tron, the two-wheel vehicle in Tron. But I love this. I called it the ZODD. It's one of my favorite characters in Berserk, the anime, and one of his swords had serrations on the back, so it's like a perfect fit for this. So again, I really love this. So for whatever that's worth, take that as a grain of salt. This is like one of my favorite training platforms that I've made so far. So again, thank you for everyone that reached out to me and asked me to make something like this, because I wouldn't have otherwise, I don't think, or it would have been much further down the road. So I ended up super happy with this. I really hope anybody who gets one really loves it and appreciates it. So reach out to me with any questions, and I'm on all the platforms that you can find me on. Thanks.